There are the more obvious forces that are changing the profession: globalization, technology, shifting economic centers. These forces are fundamentally affecting architecture, and the profession has no choice but to respond to these global forces. What concerns me are the flaws within the profession that need to be addressed. On the one hand, we're in the midst of an architecture renaissance, within a global building boom that is generating some exceptional architecture. Yet, as far as I'm concerned, the profession is both in denial and in crisis, with the vast majority of architects fulfilling the role of technicians or decorators. Architects are universally underpaid, and their status within the construction industry is increasingly challenged by a sea of consultants. In academia, there is a resistance to the notion of structured specialization, while within the construction industry, the lack of specialization is placing the architect at a disadvantage. Ultimately, the willingness of architects to accept ignorance and abandon responsibility is enabling more and more entities to fragment the architectural pie. We're seeing owners' reps breaking the traditional bond between architects and their clients, real estate consultants a defining program, and there's a growing tendency to bring on board creative designers, artists, and branding companies to supply the artistic and conceptual package. A part of the thought process behind the establishment of the Paris Atelier program is to challenge the self-imposed boundaries of the profession. There is no reason why architects should not specialize, develop domains of expertise, choose to become real estate developers, or challenge the standing of the architect within the contemporary world of art. The Paris Atelier program aims to explore the potential of the architect as a critical maker, as an artist. The first part of the course introduces the students to the complex and opaque world of contemporary art. This is achieved through a broad set of lectures by key protagonists from within the art world, as well as through numerous visits to artist studios, galleries, and art foundations. After about 10 days, students begin to work with our guest artist. Last year's artist was Thomas Saracino, who is based in Berlin, and this year our guest artist is Guillaume Leblanc, an inspiring artist who is based in Paris and whose work shares an affinity with certain architectural concerns. Through a studio structure, students will be required to define their own interests and to engage in an intensive 5-week realization process, that at the end of which their work will be exhibited at the Palais de Tokyo, one of Paris's most prestigious museums and the epicenter of Parisian avant-garde art. Architecture has always been an important source of inspiration. In many ways, the boundaries between art and architecture are blurring as a growing body of artists choose to investigate the architectural domain. Fundamentally, the difference between the two is that artists are entrepreneurs and architects are service providers. While architects and artists still utilize similar skills to realize their vision, the perception of the two within society, and particularly within the art world, is substantially different. The work of artists is considered as art, while the work of architects is viewed as stages in the realization of architecture, and as such have limited intrinsic value. There are arguably two substantial poles that define the architecture profession: the creative process and the perceived role of the service provider. There is certainly a lot to be done to ensure our ability to fulfill effectively the role of the service provider. Yet for an important part of the profession, the fundamental drive is the need to express their creativity. There are many architectural schools that focus upon the creative process, yet they stop short of enabling architects to go one step further and engage effectively with the contemporary art scene. This Paris Atelier program attempts to bridge between the architectural discipline and the art world. The aim is to endow students with the confidence and knowledge of how to begin to develop their artistic ambitions.